Welcome to the Host with Remark Show. And today my guest is Christopher DeCesare, New York-based author, lecturer, whose experiences as a college student back in 1985 were focus of several books, films, radio, and television shows. Among them, his sci-fi network series, School Spirit, Season 1, Episode 2, Dorm Room Nightmare. Also an award-winning independent film, Please Talk With Me. The C2D1 haunting is among the most documented paranormal events in U.S. history. Over a dozen witnesses have professed knowledge or experience of this Western New York haunting. Chris became an urban legend under the nickname Ghost Boy of Geneseo. Events experience full-bodied apparitions, disembodied voices, moving objects, physical attacks, photographs, audio tapes. After years avoiding the spotlight, Chris was encouraged to write his own account of these extreme events. Surviving Evidence, Memoir of Extreme Haunting. Chris went on to appear on Coast to Coast AM with George Noory in June 2016. After his appearance, his book became number 5 in the gender Amazon bestseller. Hi, Chris.
Well, hello. It's nice to be on your show.
And my first question to you, Chris, is what inspired you to do the episode of School Spirits on Sci-Fi Network?
Well, it it wasn't my idea. The haunting itself was so devastating and so traumatic that for about 20 to 25 years I didn't really speak about it because I didn't know how to share it in a positive way. When I realized over time that the mere aspect of survival might be interesting to people, I began speaking at colleges like Penn State University, Geneseo, SUNY Orange, and while speaking at Penn State, there were a number of NBC executives who owned Sci-Fi in the audience. I didn't know this, and they said to me, listen, what we just heard is incredible. There's nothing like it, and we want to put you on television. And a guy named Mark Burnett, who does Survivor and shows like that, wants to do this show. And I thought, that's odd. And so I was invited to TV, which is I think probably an odd thing.
Also, tell me a little bit about your award-winning independent film, Please Talk to Me.
Well, I can't take much credit for it. Please Talk With Me is something that was directed by Mara Katria. She won an award for Best Director. It was produced by Bill Edwards. And this group had found some notes that my friend had written down during the haunting. And they wanted to do a documentary with the people involved, not so much to talk about the ghost itself, but to look at people in that kind of crisis. What are you seeing? Is it real? If it is real, what do you do? And if you start doing things, who do you tell? And so they're the ones that actually encouraged me to come forward years later, decades later, since I was the Ghost Boy of Geneseo back as a teen, to do that. And it's thanks to them, that's how this whole ball got rolling with me coming out of this darkness after so many years. And I have to say, I got to watch some of the process. They have to audition for every role in the film. And you see people line up for this big break. There'll be 45 people, 50 people. And they've told their parents, okay, Mom, it's all worth it now, or their boyfriend or girlfriend, this is a big chance. And the thing is, only one person of those 40, 50 get that nod for each role. And I wasn't necessarily myself an actor, but they said to me, listen, while we're casting, if you see anything or hear anything from these actors that reminds you of one of your friends, someone who's there, let us know, and we'll consider that in our final casting. So that was interesting to watch. And they remade all of these rooms from my college days years and years ago. And going on the set, it was like going back in time. It was an incredible and a very, very meaningful experience for me.
How did you cope with the media attention at the time of your extreme paranormal experience?
That was very difficult. And I think that as a teenager, trying to deal with the media attention was almost as difficult as trying to survive the haunting. Because what happens is, the media has a narrative and, they release snippets or headlines and that becomes the truth. And, I never wanted to be the Ghost Boy of Geneseo. That's not what I wanted. I don't want the haunting to happen. And when everyone around you says, this is who you are, that's who you become. And so it was very difficult for me to be labeled against my will with no recourse. And so when the newspaper reporters came or if the TV came, I would hide. I would hide behind large mailboxes. I'd hide behind buildings. I didn't know how to explain what was happening. I wasn't prepared for it, and so I basically tried to avoid those encounters. And I spoke to a woman about 3 years ago who said, my father looked for you. He couldn't find you. He went to your college so many times, but he knew you were real, but he couldn't find you. And I said, what do you look like? And I described him to her. That's my dad. I said, well, he found me. I just didn't let him know it was me. I was right next to him. I just didn't have the courage or understanding at that point in time on how to deal with the media. And I think if I did embrace it, it would have been bad. When you're a teenager, you're not quite emotionally mature enough to handle, sudden change in your status. And I probably would have made a lot of mistakes that many people who are young do mistakes. So I think that looking back, and this is rationalization, waiting to, do this and go public with what happened and who I was 25 years later, it gave me a chance to control my own destiny, which I think is a better thing.
When you experienced these events, how did you become very scared?
Yes. Many people today, as you know, look for evidence of afterlife. They'll talk about spirituality, the paranormal, different theories they might have to explain these manifestations. I had no interest in this field. I liked sports. I liked ice cream. I liked, meeting people. I was a very down to earth type of person. And the very concept, when I first saw this ghost in that college room, standing there by the wall, I was scared from the start because I thought to myself, well, wait a second. This is impossible. If I'm really seeing this, then that means all the things I know that are true might not be. It was a huge paradigm shift. So even there again, as scary as the ghost was to view, to see, to speak with, the fact it was there initially was the scariest thing because I didn't know how much of the world and how much of life I didn't understand. And, whatever you do in your life, whether it's something creative, something athletic, something academic, you want to go into that. And you want to go into that with a sense of understanding, of direction. And when the world around you swirls and you can't get your bearings and you don't know what happens tomorrow, it's hard to be healthy. It's hard to be happy in that environment.
What do you think people get out of your experience when they read your book or watch the documentaries or the series?
Well, I don't exactly know what everyone gets out of it. I'm hoping that people who do watch it or view it or read it uh, get something positive that they can apply in their own lives. I'll give you an example. I received a note. It was unsigned after an event I spoke at, and I'll read it to you. And it said, "Thank you for your courage, for showing the world your perseverance. I'm going through something similar to you, and I'm finally understanding a little bit about what's going on. There are parallels between your experience and mine, and to see you surviving and moving on and living, it reminds me I have the strength to get through my own stuff. God bless." And so that's the hope that the folks I speak with, people who read my book or watch the movie, they learn to understand it's important to appreciate what you have, that you should every day try to listen to a nice song, put some music on, listen to the chords, the notes, the vocals, listen to everything about that song, give yourself that time. One meal a day, relax, chew your food slow, appreciate the taste. Talk to one person every day. Don't rush it through. Just talk with them. Look in their eyes. When we go, there are many theories what happens after we're gone. But we know we have this moment now. And so working through that haunting, thinking I would die at any minute, there were suicides in that haunting, there were attacks in that haunting. It allowed me to appreciate at a very early age that each day is a gift. And I always try to tell the people I speak with or who read the book, try to enjoy what you have. Don't spend all your time thinking, I wish this, I wish that, how come they have? Look at yourself in the mirror, say, I'm the only one there is of me. This is going to be good for me, and let's enjoy my life.
When I saw the series, I saw that you was training to be a marathon runner at the time.
Yes.
Do you still keep that up?
I wish I could. I remember in 1984, the Olympics were held in Los Angeles, California, and Carlos Lopez of Portugal got first place. He's from Europe. Second place was John Tracy from Ireland. That's not so far from you. And then third place was Charlie Spedding from the UK. So I remember that's about the time when I was running really fast. One of my competitors in this area in New York was named John Troutman. And John Troutman ran in Barcelona in 1992 in the Olympics, the 10,000 meter finals. He got sixth place. I beat him. And so I knew that going to the Olympic Games was not an impossibility. Unfortunately, sometimes injury happens. And I hurt my knee, and I could never push my pace fast enough without risking injury every time to do what that took. But I loved running. I loved the challenge of improving. I loved breathing the air in my lungs, seeing all different landscapes. I ran the Montreal Marathon. I ran all different places. I really love it. New York City Marathon. So I don't run like that anymore. I try to stay active. But, I really had a nice opportunity back in those days. I met Greta Weitz from Norway, Frank Shorter, Bill Rogers, all the great marathon runners I got a chance to meet and talk to. And that's just a gift I'll never forget.
Do you think that when you had to go through all the dedication required for being a marathon runner, did it help you cope with your events that happened to you?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent question because you're connecting my time before the haunting to my time in the haunting, and we're not isolating variables here. You are who you are, and so yes, when you train for marathons, you control your environment, you control your carbohydrate intake, you control your speed work, your hill work, you control your mileage, you control, all aspects of your life to make sure when the race day comes, you're ready to go to the best of your ability. Because sometimes one simple choice can mean winning and getting fifth place or 10th place. And so, yes, I was a person who analyzed things. I had a chart on my wall. I had a log book, and I would chart the weather conditions and the temperature. I would chart my mileage and the hills in that course to determine my strengths and weaknesses and strategy. So when it came time to go to college, I was excited to go there because I'd be running with people who were faster than me, and I could get better. When the ghost and the haunting thing started, that's the first thing I did. Okay, what's causing this? Is there gas leak in the room? Is there drugs in my food? Is it a practical joke? Was it hypnotized? Was it a reflection? So I began to apply all those thought processes to this experience because I didn't think ghosts were real. Once we realized it was there, and we got photographs of this thing, we had this thing talking on a cassette tape. Then I used my survival skills in a marathon about not giving up, follow the blue line, pace yourself, take your water in, don't dehydrate, things like that, goal setting. I used that to survive the haunting by saying, okay, it's a new day. What happened yesterday? What did I learn from it? So, yeah, I think that having that background, Mark, really did a great service to me trying to survive this haunting that lasted in February and March and April, day after day.
Who was the first person that you told about what you was going through?
The first person that I told, well, it wasn't intentional. It wasn't by design. We just talked about me controlling my environment. When I saw the ghost for the first time, standing in my room, I absolutely did the wrong thing, and I panicked. I had a box of candies in my hand. I threw them in the air. I screamed. I ran up my door, down the hallway. The first door I came to, I banged on. Bang, 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 bang. Help! Help me! Total sheer terror. The door opened up, and in that room were Jeff and Ed. And I ran in the room. I fell on the floor, and I kept saying, I panicked. I panicked. I didn't say why.